Hey everyone, it's LS, and this is another speed VOD review of Edward Gaming versus KTRolster. I thought that TL's macro was a little bit too clean and consistently good for me to immediately go into another Team Liquid VOD review right away. I need a little bit of time to calm down and relax. So before we go into the next Team Liquid VOD review, we're going to hit the Edward Gaming and KTRolster. So the bans so far: KTRox, Tom Kench, Nocturne for Edward Gaming, KTRolster on the red side, Alistar being banned away, Olaf, and I don't know what their final ban's going to be. It looks like it's going to end up being Ornn. I really like the bans throughout all the group stages, actually, for teams. They seem much more diversified than just like a basic cliche, red side, blue side type ban. With power picks being able to almost be consistently predicted. There is a Kai'Sa first pick for Edward Gaming. And now Xayah being hovered. If they don't take the Rakan with it right away, then it could induce Edward Gaming to potentially ban the Rakan or take it. It's always something that you have to consider when you're just hovering the Xayah. Similarly, I mean, if you just take the Rakan, then the same thing ends up being applied. KT now hovering the Kindred. Is this at 2 times speed? And now EDG taking the Urgot. So with Urgot not having been selected right away, looks like KT basically saying that they will play a more traditional top lane champion into it, because KTRox was already banned away, so a little bit surprising, given that the KT didn't just take Urgot right away. Also surprising that Ornn was banned away instead of Urgot. Now we move into the second ban phase. Thresh ended up being selected, and now supports are being pinched by KT to try to skew the bottom lane matchup. And now, obviously, because the support champion for KTRolster is already picked, there doesn't need to be a ban allocated towards Rakan. KT now picking... What? What? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. Oh, shit, they hovered Annie. Oh, man. Okay, so I have to say that KT's draft is fucking terrible. Demonetized, by the way. We're going to talk about what the team compositions and everything want to do. But what it's looking like to me is that KT wants to give EDG a win. That's what it's looking like. Okay, so here's the dilemma. Okay, so you have Swain and Kindred against Akali and Jin Zhao. So early on, if you can actually get Swain ahead, then Akali has absolutely 0 ways to recover. If you don't get Swain ahead and everyone on EDG is just allowed to scale up, everyone on KT is allowed to scale up, the team fights are extremely bloody, but your own Kindred ultimate ends up working against you, I feel like the periodic damage and the lack of a reliance on combos out of the champions on EDG is actually more beneficial for them in post-Kindred ult teamfights than anything KT has to offer. I think that this whole KT draft just looks so fucking weird. You have Scion against Urgot, which is okay. But Kindred's not going to be able to do anything again. Like, Kindred does not want to be incentivized to path upwards and try to coordinate a gank against a blue side Urgot like this. Okay, so now Kindred is reduced to trying to help out bottom lane with maybe Thresh Lanterns or something, which is already going to be difficult in and of itself. So there's not a lot of synergy there. And then obviously Kindred just wants to help out Swain in mid. Xin Zhao actually has the ability to gank every single lane. Bottom lane's a little bit harder due to the nature of how he would gank bottom, but he can go for lane ganks with the Rakan depending on if Mata hits the Flay or not, and then also depending on the levels, because if Rakan actually just has flash available and ult and everything, then Deft and Mata are likely just going down anyway. But it is so much easier for EDG to pilot their team composition. The only real liability or danger arises in the mid lane. In terms of just outright scaling and whatnot, again, because of, I feel like a lot of anti-synergy inside of KTRolster's team composition, at least against EDG's, EDG just wins out the longer that this game goes. And I think that eventually it will end up hitting a certain point where Smeb just loses out on pressure to Ray. And the higher mobility that EDG has inside of their team composition allows them to get away with more things, especially because they're blue side. Gonna change the speed to 1.5. I think that KT went on stage, they checked their PayPals and saw that Steve didn't make a deposit yet. Okay, so right now, we see Xin Zhao doing red into bottom, and now he's pathing into Score's blue side. Score is already really ahead inside of the jungle, and you can see now that Score is actually pathing to the left-hand side. He won out on the RNG. You can see what Haro is. Haro? Haro. That is such an unpleasant name to say. Anyway, Score's going to path to the left-hand side. He's going to get the Scuttle Crab. You can see that Xin Zhao is really far behind in tempo. And even though they're both, going to meet each other on the left-hand side of the map, Xin Zhao now moving into the blue. Kindred does not elect to go for any sort of an invade. Now Kindred has this really nice route where Kindred can just go like this and get all of the camps and doesn't really have an obligation to do anything. One of the things I will point out is I really do like how Xin Zhao is not immediately eating his blue. I see this happen in NA and EU a lot, also in Korea sometimes. People will eat the blue and waste the duration of it. So he's starting on the Gromp, likely going to do the blue after, and then just go like this and path into his right-hand side jungle. So even though he's going to be a little bit behind in tempo to KT's, or to Score's Kindred, I think that it's mostly okay. And it's just a small little disadvantage that he's incurred this early on. You eat Gromp and then blue. Score comes up into top lane, and he's looking to make a really ghetto gank work. I don't know why he's doing that. He knew that he had tempo advantage, and he knew that all of his lanes at this point in the game are fine, and that the real deciding factor starts in mid lane. Even if you get Scion a kill up in top lane, it doesn't do anything due to the dynamic of the matchup. So I have absolutely no idea. Why he tried to make a gank happen. Unless he was expecting that Xin Zhao... No, it can't be that he would expect that Xin would come up to top. It just doesn't make it... What the fuck's Score doing? What? I mean, this is gonna work, isn't it? Oh, I can feel this working. Oh, I can feel it. Oh, Mako's gonna engage, and then Score's gonna wait, and then he's gonna come out. Oh, that was really good. This is really good bait by KT. This is so well baited. I feel like they might have just given it away. UCal's roaming down now, though. Oh, this is so good by KT. Oh, the bait. iBoy goes down. Deft ends up living. Smeb's here as well. That ends up being 2 kills now for KT. And I guess at this point in time, you want to just recall, because now what's going to happen with this size of a minion wave, the turret aggroes this, kills it in 3 shots, switches to the cannon. By the time that it switches to the cannon, the incoming minion wave that's right here will get here. By the time the cannon wave dies, another melee minion will die from the incoming 6 minions. These incoming minions will form a concave right here. The second wave that'll come out of the Nexus will pile up as well, and then eventually it'll push back into KT with about 3 waves worth, and it'll crash into the turret. But Kai'Sa is already back and moving on the map, but no matter what, KT is about to get 2.5 waves crash in front of their turret, and Score is going to be pathing to the left-hand side of the map, so this is really, really good for Deft. And here's that incoming wave. Oh, but it looks like Xayah is actually just pushing it right away. So this is the wave that conjoins with this one. No, it's not just a slow push. Stop. There's more detail to it. Like, don't do it a disservice. Because, a slow push is different from, like, this kind of a push, which can actually be frozen. This is very different from a slow push. Please. God. Details matter. Okay? Anyways, the wave that's coming out right now, right? This is the wave that conjoins with this one and can go in front of the turret, and Xayah and Xayah and Thresh can actually hold. And it becomes a little bit difficult and dangerous, and this is when Score's on the left-hand side of the map. But it looks like actually Deft is electing to just unlock it right away. What? What was condescending? Usama. What? Yeah, I know Kai'Sa's trying to unlock the wave. My tone and everything, we get you're a coach? Let me tell you why. If this is condescending to you, then I don't know what to tell you. I assert and explain why something is the way that it is, right? So point A, right? I have my experience with coaching and all this other stuff. Person from chat says, no, it's not that way. I'm going to correct you, and then I'm going to let you know why you just made me repeat myself again, and then why you're wrong. And you say I'm condescending. Oh, man. What? Like, what? What? In what universe? In what universe is saying something true in the face of what is false condescending? What? Imagine a teacher in a classroom. Imagine a teacher in a classroom, and the teacher's teaching something, and then some jackass raises his hand and he's like, that's not true. And it just stalls the entire lesson. Right? And then, because the teacher's like, maybe other people think like him, I have to rewind and go back and explain it more thoroughly. And because I do it in a harsh manner to suggest that you did just waste my time based off of your lack of credentials and clear lack of understanding of what's going on and your disregard for attention to detail, you think it's condescending. God damn. Anyways, thank you, Twitch chat. Let's go back. EDG is invading the blue buff right now. And they end up getting it. And this is kind of big, actually, to take away the blue buff from Swain. Swain with the blue buff against the Akali in particular as well, just being able to perma wave clear without actually having to worry about mana management. Mana management. Now KT rotating into the mountain. I would actually, I wouldn't mind for Smeb to just path down into Dragon right here. You see that he's doing nothing? And you know that Urgot doesn't actually have the ability to damage the turret. If Smeb were to just path immediately down into Dragon, they could even look for a 5-man team fight. And if they look for the 5-man team fight and then Ray ends up teleporting there, the lane would end up likely being good for KT, because I'm very doubtful that Ray would just crash the wave into Smeb's turret and cause a bounce back. So then Sion could actually just get back to top lane and have a good lane state. Yeah. Sion is moving a little bit late, and then the teleport's already coming out. We can just watch this one more time. That's really unfortunate. Mako ends up making it out. But then KT are really split up. They end up getting the kill on Taharo, but then Scout is here as well with Akali, and their scorer's ult. That was actually really good by KT Mata. But then ultimately Deft ends up going down. So it ends up being a 1 for 2, almost a 1 for 3. Wait, that was a 3 for 2? NA math? Wait. What do you mean? Oh, Mako died in the end. Wait, wait, what? What? Oh, okay. Alright, I'm a coach. I'm from NA. I'm from NA. Okay. Okay. 3 for 2. Okay. That's actually, alright, that's really good. I'm a coach. I'm a coach, by the way. So KT now off the reset. They're doing it again! What the fuck are they doing? It doesn't matter that Kai'Sa's rotating up to top. It doesn't matter if you're predicting them to rotate up to top and you want to match them. Get the fucking bottom tier 1. Get the bot. It doesn't matter that Sion's here. Like, the lane's going to be really ugly for Sion. That's fine. Like, Sion recalls, goes back to the lane. 1.5 waves is pushing into the opponent. Obviously, Kai'Sa rotating up to top, but Deft and Mata should be rotating down into bottom. So Deft and Mata rotate down into bottom. Kindred comes like this. Kindred eats the wolves, comes over. Deft and Mata get priority in bottom. They get the Mountain Drake. After they get the Mountain Drake, Deft and Mata come back one more time, push the wave. At this point, maybe there's enough pressure exerted up in top lane that EDG captures top tier 1 turret. Sion backs up a little bit, Deft and Mata crash waved, and then depending on what Score is doing at this point, maybe they actually look to threaten a dive onto Ray and capture the bottom tier 1 turret. In the event that EDG captures the top tier 1 turret, Sion backs up, Swain's pushed into mid lane, Akali gets priority on the left hand side, and then EDG tries to come down and actually capture a 10.5 or 11-minute Rift Herald. I think that's likely probably fine, because I think that there's more than enough, or there's more than enough ample time for KT to actually respond. So we saw them do this against Team Liquid, And I think it's really, really fucking bad. I know Swain doesn't have TP, that's fine. This is really bad. Oh, I hate this by KT. Oh, I hate it so much. Like, they have their bottom lane in a position now where their bottom lane can't actually establish priority, and it's too difficult because you have to keep pulling at Sion, and then Ray is just able to be more valuable than Sion. And then also, because it's hit this stage of the game, Akali actually has enough wave clear, push, and everything where Swain can't bully her, and it's very difficult when EDG is constantly ahead in tempo. And now there's going to be a Rift Herald fight, and I feel like EDG's team comp is way fucking stronger right now than KT's. It is so much stronger. I don't care that Swain has a Rod of Ages. KT will lose this team fight. They will always lose this team fight. So I don't know what KT's doing. We've all played enough Korean solo queue to know where this is going. What are they doing? TL? Did TL go into KT? Is that what happened? Did fucking Korean TL? So if you take these two lines and you just make it really big, and then you move the T, aliens, okay? Just make it really fucking big. I think that's exactly what's going on here. This is so bad. They can't ever win this fight. They even knew about Urgot. Like, they knew Urgot has Ghost. They know he's going to be able to get into the backline. They know where Akali is. No, I really can't get over this. Everything. Mada's positioning. Steve said how much, but he forgot China was billionaires. Holy shit. What the fuck? That was a really, really, really weird fight. And so now EDG with the Rift Herald, they're going to be able to crack open Swain's mid-tier 1. I hope that's where they end up using it. But EDG are so far ahead right now. Not only do they have the better team fighting later on in the game, and they have more options available to them due to the dynamic of Urgot and Akali, they're ahead in gold. They have the Rift Herald. They're going to get a Mountain Drake. Wait a minute. KT sent their bot lane top again. No, I'm actually feeling really weird watching this. I'm feeling really weird. There's no objective. Why would you go top again? There's no blue. There's no objective. You're not trying to avoid a lane. From Score's early game pathing, right? From Score's early game pathing to the team fight at Herald, to the lane assignment that Xayah and Thresh did earlier on, to another lane assignment that they're doing again. I'm genuinely feeling really uncomfortable watching this. This does not seem normal. Why is Score going up to top lane and showing? First blood turret? Is this important? You're losing gold. Score is actually losing gold by sharing first blood turret stuff and not getting camps and XP. And the draft. What? Why are they running to mid-tier 1? Okay, they kill Akali. Okay, they're gonna kill Haro. EDG's trying their damnedest. Brother Scout. That was really, really sad. I was just at the edge of Sion's hitbox. I was just at the very, very edge. Yeah, that hit. Okay, so now KT, they almost lost their mid-tier 2. They managed to push back. Deft is trying to get the bottom tier 1 here. They're ahead in gold, but they're behind in the game. And another Mountain Drake's coming up. So that Mountain Drake is actually really, really important for EDG. Okay, they land another... What are they... What? Okay, Smeb is managing to zone out Akali, but Urgot's just getting so much value up in top lane. Even though KT is going to get bottom tier 1 turret, I don't think that these are the type of trades that benefit them. And even though they would be more beneficial with accelerating, because there's no neutrals on the map, just taking turrets to take them and trading out, I think it actually makes the game go slower. Malzahar, I think, I was expecting Malzahar to be a pick with Akali popping up. But I guess Malz can be a little bit bad because Akali can just go Gunblade and then QSS. But also, I think that Akali's base scaling is actually really strong comparable to Malzahar, at least in the early laning phase, and so she might even be able to just get away with going QSS first item. Which can obviously heavily impact mid-game teamfights. But I mean, it does skew the jungle dynamic, and then Malzahar is one of the few champions in the game that never slows down. Can I explain how taking turrets when there's no objective to slow down the game? The reason that taking turrets slows down the game is because if you take this turret and then this turret, right, the minions are now suddenly allowed to go deeper into the lanes, right? And because the minions are allowed to go deeper into the lanes, naturally it makes champions have to go likely further to CS it and then further up in order to push it back, which takes more time. But also because minions are going to be coming into the teams and thus taking longer, it also means that they're able to go slower and be more places at once, essentially. Like, you can have 4 people grouped up in mid because you need to wait for the minions to get from here to get all the way to here, which means that you can be 4 in mid, which then disincentivizes the enemy team from trying to do a siege or a push onto mid because you have so many resources there, and it's unlikely that they can actually try to siege or break the turret. And so because of that, eventually the minion wave passes the dead tier 1 turret, and then you send one of the remaining members from the 4 up into the top lane to farm it, which you do so very quickly. You eat the wave, and then by the time the wave that you eat and push back out gets into the enemy team, it takes about another minute, a minute and a half before the enemy team responds to it. This causes for very slow paces where the minion waves are constantly getting bounced back and forth. So that's what I mean by it slows down the game if there's no neutral objective. Alright. So right now, you can see, like, KT's grouped up right here, right? Is there a reason to, well, now there's a neutral objective coming up, but let's say that Drake wasn't coming up. KT's grouped up. They need to wait for top to get to here, which means that they're going to have 4 members here. So this is just to further elaborate on a point. They're going to have 4 members here. So EDG's like, okay, they have 4 members here. We don't need to take a team fight because there's nothing to gain. If we have a bloody fight, 4v4, and 3 members die on each side, we don't really gain anything. No one gains anything. So now the team that has the scaling composition is further encouraged to not fight because they're like, okay, no one can achieve anything, and we just let the game stagnate, and we let the passive gold gain tick, and we keep farming our jungle camps, and we keep playing defensive. We're gonna win out later. And so because there's such a long time before this wave crashes into KT, they're going to be stuck together as 4 in mid for a while, which EDG is like, okay, well, we're not going to mess with that. And because there's no neutral objective up, we don't have to contest River Vision. We don't have to go anywhere. We're not obligated to come into you or try to fight you over anything. And so, suddenly for a minute, no one does anything. And then eventually, this wave hits a breaking point where it comes up to like here, and then KT's like, all right, guys, someone has to go handle that. So now the other 3 members concede their position, their forward position in the lane. They back up to the close vicinity of the turret. Maybe they start to farm their wraiths or their wolves, and they send one person up to eat it, and then they eat it. But then EDG is like, okay, well, we have like a minute before that wave comes to us, so let's, stand up here. And so now they clear out vision over here, they clear out vision over here because they have a 4v3 in numbers. They have 1 person down in bottom lane. They already farmed all of their camps. And so now it's sort of like playing ping pong, right? Like, initially, KT hit the ball at EDG. EDG backs up, and they wait for their minion wave to cause KT to send a member up. And then KT sends a member up, which is essentially EDG knocking the ball back into them. Now EDG advances forward on the map, clears out vision around mid lane because, again, they have numbers. They have the 4v3 in mid. And this is a ping pong that ends up happening if both teams are actually really high level and respect each other. What you don't have is when this is NALCS, you will have a team fight unfold, even though there's no dragon on the map. It's 19 minutes, and both of these teams will actually just be right here, and we'll have a fucking team fight. I like to call that the NARAM. But in this case, there's a Mountain Drake coming up, so... EDG has superior position. Okay, so what KT is doing is you can see that they're trying to posture and make EDG come into them. But I think that what they should do is, unfortunately, you have to just concede Mountain. Concede that EDG is going to have a better concave than you. Concede that they just have inherently better control over the river. And you take this wave when they were in river. So let's go back to the point where they were all in river. What's right here, right? So Smeb goes here, hugs the wall. These members should have already been moved up a little bit more. And then you choke them out of this point and you tell them that they can have the dragon. You let them have the dragon. The 4 members of KT then advance forward right here. You choke them out of the wraiths and you try to use the incoming minion wave to crash it into the mid-tier 1. Crash it into the mid-tier 1, break out of their blue side jungle, look for wolves, look for Gromp, look for blue if it ends up being up. I don't think it's going to be up at that exact time. That KT eventually goes like this, because KT is going to have to go like this to defend their mid-tier 2, right? So then EDG is going to have to go like that to defend their mid-tier 2. KT is going to leave through the blue side jungle, and then you'll notice that there's a giant minion wave for EDG pushing into KT. If KT has half a brain, they don't eat the minion wave. This minion wave conjoins with this one. They both pile up, they eat this one, and then they eat the next one that comes out of the Nexus. This wave goes to right here, and then Deft can permafreeze it, and Baron is just coming up on the map. And unfortunately, though, EDG does have double mountain, so it's a little bit scarier because they have very, very good champions for shredding a Baron. So if this was like double ocean or double cloud, Deft could permafreeze this for probably about 5 minutes or 6 minutes or so, and he could use that to generate that like 700 gold gain that we talked about in the VOD reviews yesterday. But this is KT that we're talking about, and we're talking about Season 8 pro teams, so we're not going to see this type of a play because apparently that's too far ahead of our time. Swain would just push out the bottom lane one more time. He would then back up. Maybe some of the members from EDG would then send one person bottom, most likely going to be Urgot. Urgot sends into bottom. He looks to capture the bottom tier 1 turret as Swain just backs up. Maybe he ends up eating his Gromp, or he already recalled. This lane gets raised, and then you send down one of the carries from the fountain to eventually eat the wave, push it out here, push 2 waves back into EDG, and then everything's fine. But I don't like what KT is doing, because what KT is doing from this position is they're showing a desire to fight and maybe have Swain potentially do a flank. So I think this is really bad compared to the rotation that I just talked about here. Okay, with Swain, push, just like that. That should be KT's rotation. And then EDG rotates like this, and then one member goes down, push. Okay? And then eventually, after about 2.5 minutes, one of the members that's posturing in mid will break off, and they will go here to catch the wave. And they'll eat the wave right here. So these are the rotations for both teams when you factor in the champions' movement speeds, their damage output, the scaling, and what we likely should come to expect. The double Mountain Drake is what makes it really scary, again, because Deft doesn't have the luxury of permafreezing this lane right here. And even if it would mean that, you know, KT gives up some ground around this area, that's completely fine because it's just luxury vision at this point in the game. So that's what's going on. KT will lose a team fight if they take it right now, though. This is where Twitch chat flames me. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm gonna die. Get fucking flamed. Oh my god. No, stop! Why does EDG fight like this? We saw how they're supposed to fight at the Rift Herald. Why on earth they're diving into KT, even though they have priority position on the Mountain Drake? KT will lose if they take a fight, but they didn't take the fight. EDG took the fight. Like, look, he can't do anything. iBoy can't do anything. The Kindred ult got maximum value at a point where EDG doesn't have the itemization, so that periodic damage thing I was talking about. Like, Scout can't really do anything. I mean, Scout gets some kills and stuff, but why does EDG... Ask yourself, why doesn't EDG just basically say fuck you and get Mountain? Because also, I mean, you can shove UCal down into the river. That was really poor. That was really poor team fighting. The viewers wouldn't enjoy that, yeah. It's better when I'm... It's better when I look like a fucking... God damn it. This whole fight. You can't kill Deft. Like, okay, I can understand if they try to get the knock-up. Like, look. See this? You can't hit score. Which means that score is just going to press R. Like, what? No matter how you want to look at this, and no matter if you're going to say that I'm fucking wrong here or whatever, this is a terrible fight. You can just pause this and look at the positioning of both teams and be like, well, why would EDG take this? This is some of the worst case scenarios that have to happen for EDG to come out here. Kind of sad this guy considers him a coach and people pay him for money. There's a reason he's sitting on an IKEA chair eating tuna out of a can. I love it. That's some fresh pasta. Oh my god. I love it. Alright. Infernal Drake. Coming up next, KT now has a mountain. I would say that KT are... They're even right now with EDG. EDG needs probably like 10 more minutes. And obviously if they can get the Infernal Drake, it would be super big for them. Infernal Drake is bigger for... Infernal Drake is bigger for EDG than it is for KT. So it's really, really important for EDG to try to secure that Infernal. And the reason that I say that is because Scion doesn't benefit from it that much. Thresh doesn't benefit. Swain doesn't benefit as much as Akali. And then, I mean, Kindred benefits, but not to the same degree, I think, as Xin. Actually, Kindred maybe benefits more. I just think because of what their roles are, Xin having more access to a little bit more damage is greater due to the fact that he has basically 2 assassins in a way on his team. That's why I think that the Infernal is greater for Xin. Yeah, Infernal is very important for KT to deny from EDG. All I'm saying is that like if you look at like who it's more valuable to, if like both team comps were to be granted Infernal, it's more worthwhile for EDG. Okay. So right now, KT is taking the game a little bit slow. I think that they're just waiting to complete some of their items. Deft ended up just completing QSS, and he got a BF sword as well. And so, if you're EDG, though, I think that you wait for Xin Zhao to complete his item, you wait for Urgot to complete the item, and you wait for Kaisa to complete the item. Akali is basically good to go. Akali's itemization's a little bit weird, given that the enemy team has a Kindred. The pure raw damage is a little bit suspect to me. I would expect a little bit more utility out of her. And Scout is really on the run right now. What the fuck's he doing? This gameplay is so sloppy from both parties. And now KT's going to the Baron. And they do have a Mountain Drake, so they do this semi-quickly. And EDG are still in an okay position here. As long as they... So, this is just like what I talked about in the team fight 7 minutes ago. If they make KT come into them, it skews Kindred's ultimate. It makes it awkward for Swain. It makes it awkward for Sion and Thresh. And EDG are so good with a wide arc. And that's all that they need to do. They need to make KT take the fight. If EDG takes the fight, KT has chances to actually win. Unless, like, we're talking 4 items. I think at around 4 items, that's when EDG's ability to take fights onto KT becomes more realistic without it being like a donkey move. Oh, man. Oh, they managed to get score. So if they did this at 19 minutes, that would have been the way to do it. But remember, they didn't try to engage onto score. Mako didn't find score at that 19-minute fight, but he found him right here. So without that Kindred ultimate, it just does not matter. KT cannot get the members low enough of EDG. Oh, man, that was really, really, really good. That was such a sick engage by Mako. So that's going to be Baron for EDG. And if you get Baron right now, you do not send a member top lane to eat the wave. You just eat your jungle, you recall, you get the 80... No, where are you going? No, that's not what you do. I'm about to have a fucking heart attack. Alright, so... The reason that you don't send a Kali top lane, okay? Well, you can send a Kali top lane, you don't eat the whole wave. There's 2 options here. You can send a Kali top and you can have her kill all the spellcaster minions, thus creating a slow push that will pile up for 3.5 waves and then eventually crash into this turret on its own. If you end up doing this, you can essentially do a 1-1-4, okay? Or you can actually do a 1-4-1. At 1-4-1, actually, I would like a little bit more than a 1-1-4, and even though the bottom tier 1 turret is still up, you don't really need that gold at this point in the game in order to win. So the reason that I like a 1-4-1 more is because then the 4 remaining members can actually conjoin with the wave up in top for a super Baron empowered wave, and then you can do a 4-0-1. And then you can utilize this to actually get an economic inhibitor, which I think would actually be quite good right now, because then the Baron buff duration should still be persisting for a little bit, and you should still be able to utilize it to get the remaining outer tier 2 turrets. So if you do it like this, you can end up getting 5 turrets and an economic inhibitor, which they don't need objective inhibitors to close out the game. As long as they get the economic inhibitor, this actually lines up for the Infernal Drake, so it actually suddenly does become pressuring. We talked about earlier on about the differences between economic and objective turrets, and how traditionally top lane turrets are almost always seen as economic. In this really weird case, because an Infernal Drake, which is a really high priority dragon, is coming up, it is the furthest proximity from the major neutral objective. And so in this really weird thin instance, this rarely will ever occur, like, maybe this happens in like 10% of pro games or less or something. Suddenly the economic inhibitor also becomes an objective inhibitor because of the spawning Infernal Drake. Now, if there was an Elder Dragon coming up on the map, then obviously top inhibitor is also beneficial due to the proximity from it to the Elder Dragon. So, with that being said, I think that Akali should thin wave, recall immediately, and then they orchestrate a 1-4-1, and then do this into a 4-0-1. Get the inhibitor, recall group, and then after you do the recall in group, you end up doing a 0-4-1 into a 0-0-5-0. So whenever I add a second, so 1, 3, so this is 2, and then this is 4. Okay, whenever I add a second or fourth number in like a row of 5, this means like left side river, right side river. And now I'm drawing Squidward or something. So anyways, or I don't know what the hell this is. But anyways, so you have all the members join up. Inside, you get the Infernal Drake, and then after that, you do 005. And after you do 005, you siege this turret, you do a prolonged siege, and eventually at this point, the Baron is almost going to be coming back up. You eventually back up, you recall, and then you send 4 people into mid lane, and then you send 1 person into top lane to fix it. The 1 person that goes into top lane slow pushes it, and the 1 person that slow pushed it conjoins with the remaining 5 members. You look to get vision inside of KT's red side jungle. Slow push is still going up in top lane. Baron ends up respawning, and then you go for a Baron fight as long as your bottom lane isn't too terrible. Okay? Alright, we're gonna go on now. Yeah, I obviously mean that the 1 is the slow push super wave. Okay. So now with the Baron, they don't do any of what it seems that we just talked about, but they do have members in bottom, so they are getting 2 turrets, and they have a Kali pushing in mid, and you can see that KT actually can't respond to it. So while they're getting advantages, it's sort of like imagine you're sitting at the casino and you have pocket aces and you win, you know, $200 from a pot or something. You're playing 1-2. You win $200, but there was a way to win 300. And you say to yourself, okay, well, this is what Reddit says to itself. Reddit says to itself, it's okay, they got $200, right? The pro player, or the person that really takes it serious, says to themselves, but I could have gotten 300. And eventually, if you think like this long enough, these small, like, plus, you know, micro increments add up enough over time to suddenly start equaling, you know, thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And it's really, really important to think about it like that. You can't just look at what EDG is accomplishing right here and think like, okay, well, this is all still fine LS. You can't be satisfied. You always have to look to refine it, you know? Yeah, like speedrunning. Like speedrunning. It's very comparable to speedrunning, yes. So even though they're getting a lot, they could have gotten a lot more, which is really sad. Because also, when you're looking at this in the VOD review, you know, as a team or something, you know, how deeply are you looking into your own refinements? Because I think that, like, personally, when you watch your own gameplay, you look at it from a little bit of a bias. And then also, I think that, like, I've talked to a lot of pro players and I've seen them do it, so I know that they do it. They look at it and they like to, like, stroke their own ego. They're like, man, I played so well this game. You know, like, God, I did this well, I did that well. And they're not looking for these finer details. Okay. So at this point, EDG is really, really far ahead. KT does have that Infernal Drake, which is helping. Again, I don't like Scout's itemization. I really don't like it all that much. I would have preferred a little bit more defense. But I think that they're really banking on just trying to assassinate someone from KT. And now EDG is going to be able to get this Infernal Drake right here, and they will even up the score. Yeah, Emu, that's a perfect analogy. You settled for a hug when you could have had oral sex. Exactly. That's exactly it. Thank you, Emu. I'm glad that you're paying attention and that your mind's in the right place. Thank you so much.
Jesus. So at this point in the game, all that EDG has to do is keep managing the side waves, and I think that their side waves are actually fantastic right now. That wave in top is definitely a herd. The wave in bottom is a herd too. This is really fucking good for EDG. They have 2 herds. This is actually insane. So, okay. Rick Grimes went top and cleared out one of them. But there's a herd coming in bottom. So if EDG can actually just posture long enough at the Baron, the herd will actually get the inhibitor. And they don't even need to posture, they just actually burst the Baron immediately, and KT is... yeah, okay. Well, actually, KT has a pretty good angle right there, but this is that point in the game where the Kindred ult doesn't really matter all that much. I talked about this in Champ Select, but I guess I'm just making things up. And the herd, you can see the herd would have gotten the turret. The herd would have fucking gotten the turret, alright? I'm not making this shit up. Alright, so anyways, that's just gonna be the end of the game. Fuck, god damn it. Bye, TL. I'm really sorry, though. So many things in this game make me really uncomfortable watching it. Scores pathing. The one really big fight that KT got to win was not because KT was trying to win it. KT was doing things that should have made them lose it. But EDG took the fight to them, failed to actually get on to score, and then just lost to a Kindred ultimate. And thus KT ended up getting a lot of kills. So KT scores pathing this game was absolutely atrocious. Deft and Mata's rotations were absolutely just mind-numbingly bad. I have no idea what the hell they were doing. The Herald team fight that they tried to take, you could tell they were going to lose that a mile away. It looks really fucking weird, man. It looks the only reason I'm not dropping the W word here is because EDG is not a Korean team. But it looks so fucking weird. It really, really looks... I don't feel comfortable watching the early and mid game. I really don't feel comfortable watching the early and mid game. Okay. So anyways, that's it for this VOD.